Anthropic Claude recently launched their computer use feature, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can install and set that up on your machine. So the very first thing that you need to do is go to docker.com. You can simply type on Google download Docker, and the very first link that appears, just go to that. And depending on your machine, so if you're on Windows, you can use one of these depending on which architecture you're using, and if you're on Mac, just go to the Mac option from the left sidebar. So in my case, it's Mac with Apple Silicon, and then it starts downloading. Now for those of you who already have Docker, just like myself, you can just open the application, Docker application, and then once you're in there, you basically need to go to the terminal, which is appearing at the bottom right corner. That's basically where we need to run just one command, and after that you would basically be able to use the computer use feature within Claude. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because when I went through this process, I actually faced quite a lot of issues, actually two of them. So I wanted to record them and share that with you guys. So let's go to the terminal. I'm going to enable that, and that is pretty much it. We're going to leave this here. And now the next thing that you need to do is to basically go to the workbench of Claude. You can do that by going to Google or just go to the link. I'll paste that in the description as well. Once you're there, just go to get API keys and create a new API key from here. I'm just going to name it computer use. I think, yeah, that works. And then put this in the default workspace. And now I have the API key. If you want, you can use the same one. I'm kidding, of course. I will definitely delete this right after this video is done. So once you're done with that, you can basically copy this. I'll paste that in the description as well. And you already have the API key, right? So I'm just going to put this a bit down and copy that. Now you copy the API key and paste that between those percentage signs over there, right? And then copy this command as it is. And now you need to go back to Docker terminal. And over here, we will copy that. Now it's going to take a little while because it would need to very likely download a lot of resources. So it's going to take some time. And while that happens, if you want, if you were facing any issues while generating the API keys for Claude, that's likely because you don't have any payment card added or something similar. So you do need to have that added before you are able to generate API keys, if I recall correctly. In my case, I already had my card added and I think $10 in credits. So this process could take anywhere from 1 to 6 minutes depending on your internet speed. So once that's done, you should be able to access it. But in my case, I'm facing this issue. So it's telling me, I think it's the ports issue. So 5900 is being used by another process, which is why the binding aspect of the whole thing failed. So the solution for that I'm going to use, you can see the error code over here as well. So all you basically need to do is copy that exact same command, but only change one small thing, which is the ports. So I changed 5900 to 5905, and I just added a 5 at the end of all of them, like replaced the last digit and replaced it with a 5. And now if I go to localhost 8080, I have access to Claude's computer use. And then there's this VNC player that they're using to connect to like a virtual machine of a sort. You don't really need to know much about it. I did not play around with it at all either. Now I'm just going to try to create a calculator application, like a very basic one, which runs in my browser. And let's see how it does. So in my case, I faced an error right away. So this is the error that I was talking about. This is an authentication error. Even though I entered the API key correctly, it says authentication error with invalid x-API key. So there's a simple fix for that. What I'm going to do is just copy the API key that I had saved, and I'm going to manually paste that in the settings within the web view. So on the top left corner, just click over there, and then in the Anthropic API key, we are just going to replace that, hit enter, and it's saved. So now I'll just copy the previous prompt, and now the agent is going to run. So essentially what's happening at the back end is that it has access to certain actions, like it can do some clicks, it can maybe manipulate your keyboard, it can open the browser within that window, and so on and so forth. These kind of things, it's able to do that, and it's doing exactly that thing. It's going to create a file for this. So now it just opened on its own. So I did not touch anything. It just opened the browser on its own. And now it's likely going to go to that file where it has created the code. Yeah, I think that would be the next step. So this is, by the way, running at 5x speed right now because it's kind of slow. And now it has generated that application, calculator.html. It's a very basic one. And now the next thing that it's likely to do is to try and test some operations with it. And I also increased the speed for this part to about 10x. So actually it was quite slow, which is one of the bad things. And let's have a look at how much it consumed. So I was starting with $10. It's at 9.84. So it's like 16 cents. So, I mean, most of the people that I heard, they were saying that it burns through your credit limits or something of that sort. But I mean, this seems fairly fine. I mean, even if it takes like $10 to do 2-3 hours of debugging work or something else of that sort, I'd be happy to pay that amount. But yeah, so I'm going to stop that. I mean, after it has done all these different verifications, it's trying to add 4+1, and then likely it would click on equal next. It took like 4 more cents beyond that point. So I'm going to, at this point, just stop this and manually review these things just to verify if the calculator is working. What's happening here? 4+1, I think it's trying to like interfere with the input that I am trying to give. So let's just stop this. And now I'm going to try 1 or 2 operations over here. So yeah, seems to be working just fine. Yeah, infinity, that makes sense. So I'm going to create another video where I'm actually going to put this to work on an actual use case, which is related to SEO optimization of landing page for one of my SaaS applications. I will drop the link to that video on this video. It would appear on the bottom right corner, and I'll also add the link to that in the description if you'd be interested.